You know, I'm a bear. Bear. We are Bear Clan, and we, my husband and I take care of ceremonies up here, bear dances. You know, well, not now because we're all in kind of quiet mode. But I wanted to introduce you all to this beautiful sister right here. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh my goodness.
See her picture?
Yeah.
And you see this is Butka Kawi, which means bear woman in Pomo.
Beautiful.
He passed a couple months ago. She is one of my incredible teachers, and she is Kiiwenzii, and she's one of our bear grandmas. She went home a little too soon, but I wanted to share that with you all because she's like my muse. You know, since she passed, I sang over her grave, myself and several of my other bear sisters. And you know, that day I made a vow to carry her message because she struggled in the world that we have today because of her gender preference. She still was referred to as she, but in her partnership with Jackie, who's another one of our bear sisters, she was the male essence. So before I get any further into it, I wanted to clarify why I use essence with her, but I don't use it in general, because that's what she wanted. That's how she presented herself to the world. And she always kept the house protected and safe for all the tribal members that were lost and wandering around. They felt safest in her home because Rose knew balance. She embodied balance and she brought balance to our ceremonies, which we now attribute our greatest feminine strength to the fact that she was our foundation. So in the last couple of months since she passed, she'd been talking a lot to me in the spirit world. And it just so happens that in one of those moments, you reached out to me to do this teleseminar, or whatever you call these Zoom calls. And I knew in that moment that she would be the one working through me. So I said, Rose, bring it on. Let me be your vessel. So with that said, I will share with you what I shared with her when I met her. And she asked the question is, how's this supposed to work? I'm gay. Where do I fit in? And I thought, wait, what? It just threw me because I didn't know how to answer the question other than to go back to my tribal roots and say, first of all, I don't recognize that word gay. I don't recognize any of the words in society that we use today because, first of all, I'm illiterate to them. I don't know what they mean. Like I was talking to you, Erin, earlier, is that I asked somebody to define what all these different terms that I hear out there in the mainstream that are referring to people that are not identifying strictly as male or strictly as female. And that's when I realized, wow, we really have gotten lost. So I'm going to give you all a term. It's spelled Kiiwenzii, and it's pronounced Kiiwenzii. So in my tribal way and in most indigenous ways, probably all indigenous ways, there is a word for Kiiwenzii. So what Kiiwenzii means is if we take the female, well, let's start with the male. The male in our way, in natural laws, is the life protector. And he is considered the first spirit because without protection, we can't survive. So the second life force was the female as the life giver. She was the second spirit. She gave life. She cared for life, brought life in. And then the Kiiwenzii are the third spirit. So we say three spirits, male, female, Kiiwenzii. And this was the life balancer and the life unifier. So in our tribal ways, everything was in balance because we knew what our roles were. We identified, I'm a mother, I'm a life giver. My husband says I'm a father, I protect my family. My children have both been born boys and identify as life protectors. So we don't say man, woman. We say this is what we came to this life. This is our soul path, our spiritual calling, what we do. And Kiiwenzii is the most important in our tribal ways, because without Kiiwenzii, we have no balance. In our tribal way, in our natural order, the natural way, earth-based ways of prayer, the Kiiwenzii is put in a separate place where the men do their thing. They go hunting, they do what they do, they go, they provide, what have you. The women, they take care of the children. The Kiiwenzii were most of the time in council, and they were always very well aware of every little thing that went on in that particular family or tribe. They would be called in for all major decisions, because they have the ability to look at all aspects of humanity and all aspects of life. They know how to bring balance because they don't need to be distracted with bringing life or protecting the tribe. Even though some Kiiwenziis do that, in our tribal times, they did not, because their job was so important. And if a Kiiwenzii had a child, they would then be moved into a different area until that child was raised up. So they would not be distracted, because the most important thing is raising the child. Our children are the most important thing. And our Kiiwenzii people were very involved in raising and helping the children and telling the stories and getting them ready for, if they were life givers or protectors. It was the Kiiwenzii people that would bring that balance in. So we don't have that anymore. We have all these distractions. We have no Kiiwenzii circles anymore. We have no place where I can go as a grandmother. As grandmas in tribal ways, we always counseled with our Kiiwenzii people. We always went and discussed whatever, the hunt, moving camp, problems that would come in, warring tribes. We always ran it by the Kiiwenzii people first. Then the grandmas would go off and make the final decision. We don't have that anymore. I can't pick up the phone and call a Kiiwenzii person and say, I had this happen to me yesterday, and I need to see this in balance. And I can stay in my head, but I'm only going to see it from my perspective. I'm only going to see it from a grandma, life giver perspective. I'm not going to be able to bring in the balance. I can say I will, and I can try my best, but gosh, without that, I miss that. And I don't know how many of you have had this experience that are from the first or second spirit, but I'm going to share with you my best friend during some of my most trying times in my life, when I was drinking and using drugs and really struggling with my own identity, and I hadn't had children left yet, and I was in a very bad place in my life. I wasn't doing anything along my tribal roots. I was just insane, going nuts, bar hopping and going crazy. My best friend was a Kiiwenzii man, and I confided in him, and I felt comfortable with him more than any other person on the planet. And I find in my life today that this is a great loss for me. And it's pretty raw, because she's only been gone for a couple of months. And I can't pick up the phone and call her, or go to her house and visit anymore and say, Rose, what do we do? This circle is out of balance. Our men are suffering and they're fighting over here, and our women are getting jealous and gossiping and they're falling apart over here. How do we bring everything back into balance? And Rose always had the right answer. She always knew what to do. She knew it intuitively. And I used to ask her, gosh, how do you get to this place? And she would say, I just can't get caught up in this or that. I have to stay in the middle. And that's when I realized that's the true meaning of being Kiiwenzii, is being in the middle and being in center, being in balance. So lately, with all the other work I do, I work with the extraterrestrials. I work with my tribal people. I work with the youth. And when I got this call, I knew in my core how important this call tonight is. We need help. I don't need to see my Kiiwenzii people flailing around anymore, wondering where their place in the world is. I need my Kiiwenzii people to take a stand. Now, I need our Kiiwenzii people to stand up now. And I will be there to do anything I can to support that. I would like to pass this foundation, this teaching that was passed to me by my elders, one of which was a Kiiwenzii woman, to help in any way I can to free up our Kiiwenzii people. And I'm not saying that all of them are in this bubble. Many are free and doing work. But the purpose of this call tonight is to ask for help. I need help. There's a lot of us grandmas out here right now. There's a lot of us bear women, bear men, our children, and our ceremonies are not working anymore. And we're in this bubble right now of quiet time where no ceremonies are happening. We can't get together. We can't be distracted. And all of us are asking the same question. When we come back, let's not do it the way we were. Let's do it better. And first thought I had was, we need our Kiiwenzii people back. We need them back in our circle. We are missing this huge, important part in our bear medicine circle, and I'm sure in many other circles. We don't have that. We don't have the staff of a Kiiwenzii person, and we need more than one. For one thing, we need 7 solid Kiiwenzii staff carriers right now before we open our arbors back up. And that should trickle out, right? That should trickle out to all the Kiiwenzii people, that each Kiiwenzii person, I'm asking them now to make their staff. Go out, get a piece of wood. You got lots of time, I guess, now, and quiet. And we can go out and get that piece of wood and begin the focus on what Kiiwenzii means to you. Our star people are telling us that humanity is the cataclysmic force on the planet right now. Human beings are the virus. Human beings are the problem. And we are all on a planet that breathes. If we can't learn to do this in balance, it is not going to work. You see, in order for us to change the structure of our economic model, in order for us to change the structure of the planet, we need 75% of the leaders to become aware of how important it is to bring balance back and educate them on where that balance comes from. Don't you agree? We are now in the beginning 30 years into the beginning of a 100 to 150 year cycle of mass extinction. And I don't mean to be all doom and gloomy, but it's the truth. We're headed out. This is the 6th mass extinction on Mother Earth. Okay, we are headed out. And if we don't wake up, we got about 5 minutes before it hits midnight. And Mother Earth has given us an opportunity. Our star friends, each other, all of us, our DNA has given us an opportunity right now in this moment to band together and call on balance, call on unity. So for me, in my teachings, I would look to my Kiiwenzii people. Sounds like a kind of a tall order, but I know that my Kiiwenzii, I say my, because our Kiiwenzii people have been tested and tested and tested. And I believe in my heart that our Kiiwenzii people are ready to steer the ship in the right direction. So our Kiiwenzii people need the teachings and the tools to understand what their purpose in life is in that big picture. So one of the things my elders taught me was, when you're sitting in council and you have your Kiiwenzii people circled up, our jobs together is to recognize what that particular Kiiwenzii person gift of balance is. When did they come into their life knowing they were Kiiwenzii? Were they born knowing? Did they come upon it through experience? Did they come upon it by being attracted to it? What was the catalyst that brings a person to knowing that they are Kiiwenzii? And find out from them when and how that works for them, because in that is the gift of balance. I don't know if that makes sense to you all, but as we work with our personalities and our callings and recognizing how they work together as one, we stop separating each other and we start saying, okay, what's your gift? What'd you bring? What's your gift? What'd you bring? And all this collage and this puzzle pieces start dropping into place. And instead of saying, no, you didn't do well enough, so you got to go away. You know what I'm saying? All this stuff, these titles and these jobs we give each other and these things we say, we do this because our Kiiwenzii people aren't guiding us. We have no guidance. So we're all running around out here thinking think we got things figured out. And if I sit with Rose, or when I would sit with Rose and I would talk to her, you know, one thing I noticed about her and all the Kiiwenzii brothers and sisters that are in our circle was they never got extreme. You know, they would never get emotionally extreme about something or emotionally testosterone about something. They always seem to have this balance or this inner settle. They're settled with themselves. It's just that they aren't settled with society. And so there's this twist. And in the times I counsel with the Kiiwenzii people, they talk about this. They talk about this twist. They say, I come home and I feel good. And I feel good when I'm in my prayer circle. But the minute I go out into society, I start feeling judgment. I start feeling the eyes on me. And then I don't feel like I can be who I am, or I can't be who I came here to be, because there's all of this stuff that I feel. And I've asked several of them, well, what are you feeling? And I can't know what that is. I'm not Kiiwenzii. So I'm not in a society where that's a judgment call or something that somebody says is wrong with me. So I can't identify with that. So I've turned to my Kiiwenzii people and I've asked, what does that feel like? And several of them said it's like being stuffed into a tight sock, and you can see through the little holes in the socks. You can see, but that's as far as you can go. And I thought, God, that must feel really uncomfortable to be stuffed in a tight sock, not be able to get out and breathe and be who you came here to be. So we would draw circles, and these would be like, I don't know if you guys can see my chicken scratches here, but we would start with this. We would start our teachings with the seed, which is where we begin, the seed of life. Us as
Tuii, raise the board up a little bit more.
See that?
There
It's
you
just a little chicken scratch seed. So we would draw the little picture, and we start them. We do everything in medicine wheels. In my tribal way, everything is done in a wheel. We have about 160 wheels. There's so many of them. And the Kiiwenzii wheel starts with the seed, and then we move out to the first power, or we call it the first power, which is the male protector power in that second circle. And then the third circle we draw is the female life giver, which is the second power. And then the third power is our Kiiwenzii people, which is that outer circle. And that is always between the world and the seed. So I drew that because I figured it would be a simple way to just help people to visualize the wheel of life as it relates to male, female, Kiiwenzii. Seed, outer world. So outer world, out here, out of balance, going crazy, and the seed in the beginning. And what is our responsibility as the first, second, and third circle in the world we live in today? What can we do now? How can we work together? How can we empower those three circles again, where our women are the birth givers, our men? See, because as you well know, we're all different mixed roles now. I've worn the pants in the family, and so I had to put these nails on, and I had to put wear these dresses, because if I don't, I run a lot of male energy. I am out of balance with that. So I started doing little things to help myself to come back in balance with being a woman, so that I would stop doing things that I'm not supposed to do, that the man is supposed to do, because I will hurt myself. But I go to the gym, and I pump the iron, and I ride my bike, and I do all this stuff because I love male energy. I used to say, darn it, why'd I have to be born a woman? I want to be a man. I wasn't born Kiiwenzii, though. I just wanted to be a man because they did the cool stuff, and the women were not doing the cool stuff, and I didn't want to have kids. So when I was 30, I had my first child. When I was 40, I had my second. And now that I'm in my 60s, I'm having another child, me. I am learning to be a woman because I need to bring balance back to this planet as a grandma. I need to help bring balance back to this planet. And my husband has agreed that he's going to refine the role of being a man. So now we need to have some more Kiiwenzii influence. So at this point, I'm going to take a little break, because I want to make sure I'm not losing anybody, because I'm really just trying to stay general with all this right now and not go into any real specific details. But there are some visions out there. I've got a whole boatload of them. And there are some downloads out there right now that are coming from our extraterrestrial friends. And before I go into that, I just want to make sure that we're all together right now, and there's no questions.
Go ahead and raise your hand or unmute yourself if you want to ask a question.
ShiiTuii, it's Jamie. I'm listening to you, and I think I understand what you're saying, but then I'm saying, where do we even start bringing that in? Where do we get the circle? Where do we get the council? What can I do? What can any of us do?
We need 7 staffs right now. We need 7 people who can begin the process of carrying this message and this teaching. And I am willing to do whatever I can to get those to those first 7 people, because we got to start somewhere, right? So if we start with those first 7 staffs, and I have 7 people that I can say, here are these teachings, take them out, find as many Kiiwenzii circles as you can, start Kiiwenzii talking circles. We need to start empowering our Kiiwenzii people. And the sooner the better, because we have a very small little window right now. What my hope is that we can get 7 solid Kiiwenzii circles, where these are the ones who agree to begin to work with these 7 stars that are now, some people call it the 7 sisters, the 7 powers, Pleiades. There are star friends who are now walking very actively amongst us, and they recognize that they're here to help us to help and save ourselves. So to do that, we need to work together, right? So if we're going to begin to call on our Kiiwenzii people, we need to start some councils, don't we? We need to have 7 good, strong councils. In another teaching, I've offered different aspects of our tribal teachings, which are all part of it. But you know what I realized in all of this is that if we don't have balance and unity first, none of these other teachings are going to work, because nothing's working now, is it? Everything's a mess. The last thing we have is balance. So if I can find 7 people, 7 Kiiwenzii people, or even 7 people that are really open to the spirit of Kiiwenzii, to start those circles, I will do everything I can to nurture those, to empower, and to do anything I can to be that liaison between the downloads we're getting from our extraterrestrial friends and the voices of our ancestors who are right here, right now, right here. There's no veil. There is a way you can open your mind to hearing everything. And now if we can blend, so this can go another step further, this little circle I draw, because this can not only be the center of life, but it can include our council. And from the center, it can also include the voices of our ancestors who knew all these things. And if they were here now, I don't think they could handle seeing what has happened. If I think of my elder now, even my elder Hassa, even Grandma Aggie, who passed away in November, she would be amazed to see what's happening right now. We've never, ever been here. Can you all believe what's happening right now? Is this not the biggest gesture of imbalance we have ever seen in our lifetimes and ever heard our ancestors talk about? Never. Never. Is there anybody, correct me if I'm wrong?
ShiiTuii, can I ask a question?
Yes.
So if I think I hear what you're asking for, and out in the world as we know it and as described in our current society, there is no Kiiwenzii, but there are gay people. And so if we're looking for, and I'm just going to use elders as a preface, maybe it's not correct, but if it is, so be it. If we're looking for some gay elders who are willing to learn to take on the role of Kiiwenzii, because that is a lost role.
Yes.
Is that kind of where you're trying to move us towards?
Exactly.
Except, can we clarify that Kiiwenzii doesn't mean it's not about sexuality? And
Well, that's
about sexuality.
That's
Thank
part
you,
of the
Erin.
question. Like, what makes a person Kiiwenzii that is male and female balanced that isn't gay, which is the stereotype we use in our society? Like, how do we identify someone who's never known the role of Kiiwenzii as potential Kiiwenzii?
That's where those 7 staff carriers come in. Those are the people that agree to take the teaching too, or if we find them, they be the ones that learn that first of all, we have to stop using those words gay, trans. Those words don't work. So if we can find, as my sister here, she didn't call herself gay by the time we were done. She did when I first met her. She didn't call herself gay anymore. She said Kiiwenzii. Actually, she had a word in Pomo. So if we can use that word Kiiwenzii now and find gay, trans, whatever, and let them know, hey, I got something for you. We need your help. Just so happens you have something I don't have. This is how I approach gay people. When I first approached Rose, you have something I don't have, and I don't want to call you gay sister, and I don't want to call you gay brother. I want to call you what my elders would call you, and that is Kiiwenzii. And this is what Kiiwenzii means. Once they hear that, you can't believe how many gay people have come to our ceremonies and they're hiding off in the corner and they're not coming into the sweat lodges and they're not participating because they don't know where they belong. And I see them and I'm like a moth to the light. Or some of my brothers and sisters will say, oh, you need to go meet ShiiTuii. And they bring them over to me and I say, I want to share with you Kiiwenzii. And I have never had one yet not just burst into tears and say, oh my God, I do have a place in this world. I do belong here in this circle. Yeah. You belong here and we've been waiting a long time for you to come. And they never leave. And they stay and they help. And we don't have enough. And you know why we don't have enough? Because dang it, they have to leave the circle and go home. They have to leave the circle and go back to work. They have to leave the circle and go back into this judgmental world, and it's difficult. And so they kind of come and go, and I thought, God, what can we do? So exactly the question you asked Jamie, and exactly the question you asked in Chatwa. How do we move forward? How do we get these circles? And I think we do it first by identifying how they see themselves and then offering them, how would you like to look at it this way? That you are the person that we need to balance us as women and men who are flailing around out here trying to find balance. We're never going to find, I'm never going to find that balance in myself without the help of my great sister who's balanced me, or my great brother, or my Kiiwenzii. You see what I'm saying? So if we can find them and work with them and offer this to them and start the circles, we just have to start. We just have to start at the beginning.
ShiiTuii, there's another hand raised. And I also just want to say that, you know, it's speaking more to what you guys are saying, is there's many of us out there that we don't even have the words for it, just like tribal cultures didn't have the words for what ShiiTuii was just saying, gay, trans. Not to say those words aren't valid, because it's what they know right now. It's what these communities know, so they should be allowed to be called what they want to be called. But for me, one time ShiiTuii came to a land where myself and my friend / colleague were teaching on, and called us two spirits, or Kiiwenzii, and we're like, what's that? And I've been on this journey, and I think my friend too, of learning more about what that is. And I spoke to another ministry sister of mine who, hearing those words, like worlds opened up for us, because, you know, I've dated both sexes, and I've been on quite a journey of like exploring where is my place in this world. And the more I'm learning about what Kiiwenzii means to tribal cultures, the more I'm feeling like this is my world that I have not had access to my entire life. And here are words that I never knew even like existed for me. So I hope that clarifies a little bit. Like there are female-bodied Kiiwenziis who are married to males and vice versa. It doesn't mean like that they're not, that they're exclusively with the same sex sexually. It's not about sex. It's about having the balanced energies within oneself. And how to find them, let me know when you find out, because it's a feeling I have when I meet them. And talking to them is how they will discover that for themselves too. I'm sorry, I see you raising your hand, Kate, but also Victoria raised her hand, ShiiTuii, and is there a moment to call on her?
Absolutely.
Okay, great.
Greetings, Ms. ShiiTuii. My name is Victoria. Hi.
Hi.
As a point of clarification, just kind of to weave what you're saying and what you're asking for into where I come from, what's been shared with me and taught to me. I understand balance, and correct me if I'm wrong, and pardon me for stumbling on my words. I understand balance, as has been taught, is that it's learning to work as one with all the alliances around us of the multiple kingdoms, beyond even the two-legged, going back to the blueprints, the colors, the signs, everything. The Star Nation, which I know for sure that's where I'm from here. And so it's learning to work in alliance with the right to be that nature carries, where it's always in balance in all aspects, and learning to align ourselves in a way that we bring that through our being, and we allow the alliances that are done in a good way through equitable exchange to clear us, to heal us, to work through us, so that we carry that balance, and we walk in our life not only as a prayer, but we walk as if we're part of the bundle that's being carried by the Star Nation. Is that what you're saying and what you're calling for from others?
It is an aspect of it.
Okay.
When I speak today with the current events, it's a little different. When I listen to you, I realize that you're pulling in a layer of it that's very, very important. So the layer that I want to pull in is a little bit more at the very core of the chaos that we're in right now, because we're out of balance as a collective. So what I hear you referring to is more about your personal, now correct me if I'm wrong, your personal exchange with balance and how you're working with your own balance. Is that what I'm hearing from you?
I walk within the Moonwalker lineage from the Chiricahua Nation. So to me, it's not only, there's a healing, the first 3 to 4 years was a healing, so that I can walk in that, in chaos, and not take it on. And I know how to hold myself in a way that, because I'm off the scale sensitive, that I can clear it if I do happen to take it on by the nature of walking in a human suit.
Got it. So right now in this world, we need more people like yourself that have been able to achieve self-balance through their own healing work. As we have so much out of balance as a race, just human race. This teaching that comes from my people is about the Kiona, the human being. So we need to go way back to the fact that we share 99.5% of DNA. We're all the same. Our DNA is the same. We are the human race. Somewhere along the line, as a human race, we got way out of balance. One of our ancestral teachings is that this would happen when we lost those 3 circles in the wheel. And when we started to identify as the African race, the Native American race, the white race. Wait a minute, what just happened? What happened to the fact that we're all the same race? And even more so that we don't even come from this planet. We're coming from somewhere else anyway. So here we are down here flailing around with these silly race games, race wars. And now, today, present time, we are so out of balance that we need a huge group of people, and it can't be men, because we had the men's movement already, when we thought, oh, the men are the one that destroyed the planet, right? The men's thought, just the male archetype just destroyed Mother Earth. And then we had the feminist movement, we had the women's lib movement back there somewhere, where the women were going to take over and do everything. Now what we need is this one mindset, a huge group of people that is outside of the realm of male, female, and walks down the center and brings balance and unity, because there's no distraction of that race or that the male archetype that didn't work, the female architect that, or you know, I have trouble with that word. How do you say that? Archetype? Archetype? We say a Puya Renda.
Archetype.
Yeah, that. And this Kiiwenzii, we have a whole bunch of Kiiwenzii people right now that, whether they're sensitive to it or not, are receiving brain upgrades. Their minds are being upgraded, whether they're conscious or not. And we even have a thought that at this point, we all are ready for this new upgrade. We're all ready for it, but we can't get there if we're stuck in this out of balance place. So until we get everything brought into alignment, we accept our Kiiwenzii people, our men and women in the roles that nature, okay, nature. These are the laws of nature. If I go out into nature, I see a man bear who's going crazy 100 miles to get to the female bear in Erstis. He's lost his mind because he's got to go 100 miles to smell that female bear in Erstis. It is very clear that nature, basic animal nature, still understands the roles of male and female. But why we don't? We human beings have lost our way. So we were told through prophecy that there would come a time that we would need to lean on our, get this balance back through our Kiiwenzii people. I believe that time is now. Because when I look out and I watch the news, which I try not to watch too much of, I see all this, I see men, I see women, I see black people, brown people, white people, and everybody's fighting and destroying, and there's no balance. What if we could rally a huge population of Kiiwenzii people who are ready to bust through all of the noise that's going on right now and take that message that really doesn't even pull into all this stuff that we're seeing right now, but it goes way high, way big, and pulls in the big circle, the big picture, and begins to say, you're being distracted, hey, you over there, that's a distraction, stop here, let me show you what's really going on here right now. Do you follow me? They need to cut through the distractions. And I believe that's where we're headed right now, is that we need that balance back. We need that circle. We need that to come back into our circles, into our prayer circles, into our life. They need a voice. We need to get this back. And it's very strong in me right now. And it's not a coincidence that the timing of all of this, it's like, really? This download really hit me hard. It's like, oh.
I was just going to mention that. Okay.
Go ahead, Kate.
Is the mute on?
No.
Hi there, everybody. Hi, Hi, ShiiTuii.
Hi, Kate.
Yeah, you got me thinking about other things with your last statement, but what I originally was just going to put out there is I have seen that there are two-spirit powwows in the Bay Area. I don't know who organizes those, but
my
I'm
God.
pretty sure there's one that happens in Oakland.
Oh,
So, you know, maybe, you know, there'd be a way to find out who the organizer is. It might be a place to connect with some people. I haven't been to it. It might have been at Laney College. I'm trying to remember, but I have seen it advertised, you know, for a few years now. We just never got over to it, but somebody's organizing that, right? So that's
somebody got the download.
yeah, so that's a resource. I don't know how
Yeah.
to get a hold of that. And of course, it's probably not going to take place again for a little while.
Right.
But, you know, there's got to be a way to connect with that group. So it was just a, you know, suggestion about where some of the people might be.
Wow. Thank you. I did
Yeah.
not know that was happening. That's important because what that tells me is that our tribal people are becoming conscious at this point enough to know that a powwow with Kiiwenzii people is a catalyst. It's a beginning point of rally, which is what my hope was, is that somewhere this would happen soon. And I am so glad to hear it's already going on. So yes, Kate, if you can find out anything, I would love.
The Tribal Friendship House.
Hey, tribal friendship house, like they might, muted, okay.
What's the friendship house?
Intertribal Friendship House. There's one in Oakland and there's one in San Francisco. And when I think it started when Native people were being taken off reservations and brought into the cities. I mean, there's a name for that whole, you know, project that happened, a relocation. So Native people were starting to be taken off of reservations and brought to the city. And so they started friendship houses. There's one in San Francisco and one in Oakland. So, I mean, I just have to imagine that there's people there that, you know, might know. And yeah, anyway, right?
Excellent.
Yeah, and I know
It might be a
people
good
there.
resource. And we've been over there to a few things here in Oakland. I haven't been to the one in San Francisco.
That's
yeah.
such good news.
Yeah, Bettina and Ava just said that they know of community in the Bay also.
Here's the vision. Okay, here's the end game. This is so, I'm so inspired right now. God, I'm so glad to hear this. There is a prayer circle. There's a ceremony that took place. It hasn't happened in probably, oh God, not in my lifetime. That the council comes together and you have this, they sit in these circles or they spiral. It's like almost like a DNA chain. The way when it comes to fruition, and the arbor is set up, and there's a way that this ceremony weaves, and it is an intention that's set where the male archetype, whoever that is, comes in as representative of that first spirit. The second comes in. Actually, they had the children leading it. From what I was told as a child, the children are in the center. Income, and it's like a spiral weave, like a DNA chain. Then the men come in, then the women, and then the Kiiwenzii come in, and then they circle the entire arbor. And it is an intentional ceremony that everybody has to be in a clear state and understand the full potential of a part of the brain that science has recently discovered. Our indigenous people knew about this part of the brain, and this part of the brain is the part that is, we don't use the word telepathy because the word telepathy is a word that is used in the English language that takes a person out and says, oh, this is a telepathic person, making them separate from a non-telepathic person. In our way, all brains have an ability, we don't use the word telepathic, but what we use is it's a mirror. And the mirror is constantly mirroring back and forth between all the brains. It's like one picture, one thought that we forgot we know how to do. Because we think we're individuals separate from each other, when our brains actually know that we're not separate. There's a part of our brain that's actually linked up to this one central, like what do I say, nervous system? And I don't know the words, because the English language is so screwed when it comes to this stuff. So science in the last few years has discovered this part of the brain, and they call it mirror receptors. So Google it. Mirror receptors. Once you Google that, you're gonna go, oh my God. Our human brains are like way beyond, well, for now they're filters, but we are evolving as a race. And if we don't destroy ourselves first, we've created an amazing foundation. This is the good part. Technology in the human brain has created an amazing foundation that is either going to destroy us or save us. There's no middle ground. So we're talking about these people who know how to find the middle ground. They know how to find balance. They know how to unify. So if we could get their mindset back into that particular ceremony where all the minds in that moment recognize that they are not separate, then the balance that comes from the Kiiwenzii nation begins to ripple out into the rest of the people in that arbor. And then the Kiiwenzii people open up the 4 doors and intentionally, through the help of our star friends, start to ripple it out. And people start wondering why they're getting the dreams they're getting, why they show up in these certain prayer circles, and they begin to see things in the sky they've never seen before. They begin to see things they've never seen before, or hear or feel things they've never seen before, because guess what just happened? A whole bunch of people just stimulated at one time the mirror receptors, all at the same time. You follow me here right now? You see how big this is? They don't want us to remember this. There's a huge political thing going on right now to keep us so distracted that we don't see we all just received a brain upgrade. Our brains can now do something they could not do 20 years ago. Right? We can. Trust me on that one.
ShiiTuii, there's also a question from Trish, if it's a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you. I actually lowered my hand. I wanted to give a link, a connection to the Two-Spirit Powwow. And also, ShiiTuii, I have a cousin, Miwok cousin, that you may or may not know, but she's sister who walks with bears, Marge Eppert Grow Eppert, or I think I said that wrong, Marge Grow Eppert. She might be a huge catalyst in what you're speaking to. She works on the Red Road, Will Bridey.
And woman who walks with
bear.
Seems like I've heard that.
I can't believe you. It would be hard to believe that you didn't know her.
And she's a bear dancer.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I know who. I've never met her, but I've heard of her.
She's from Sonora. Or she actually lives in Vallejo right now, but she's a huge Native American activist and powerful woman, and holds a strong circle. So I was just going to make those connections. 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, good. We need more people. Really what it takes to drive this thing forward is not just a heart chakra opening, but a gut survival, gut reaction, passionate that, damn it, even if we lose this, we must go out with our eyes open, right? Even if we don't make it, we can't go out unconscious.
Right.
We might not. But if we do go out conscious, we leave a marker, we leave a footprint that, as the viruses aren't bad, by the way, they're really cool because they help us evolve. This evolution that we're in right now, if we go out consciously, we don't have to start over and do it all over again. We can come back in enlightened on the technologies that we've built. And something tells me we could do this we can do this. It's not going to be anything like what we know today. You know, I'm going to share this with a lot of it's not something I share often, but back in 2000, I was in a spiritual crisis of my own, and I began to have grand mal seizures. And between 1998 and 2001, I suffered from these horrible grand mal seizures. And I went to the doctor and I had MRIs and all these tests, and nothing was wrong. They couldn't find anything wrong with me, but God, they were debilitating. And I told this one doctor what happened to me during these seizures, and he asked me if I used cocaine. And I realized at that moment, don't talk to any of this stuff with doctors. I don't use cocaine. I'd been clean and sober at that point for 5 years, and that pissed me off. So I decided to seek out some shamans or some medicine people and find out what was going on. And I shared some of the things that were happening to me during the seizures, and the tall white beings that were at the end of the tunnel during the seizure, and coming through this funnel, and having beings standing on all sides, just showing me pictures and telling me things that I didn't even understand and had no clue, once I got done with the seizure, where to put it. I had no place to put that. I had no point of reference to put any of that. And I just needed it to stop, because it was making life I couldn't live. I just really was at the point of being suicidal, because there was no place in this planet that I could see tall white beings with information that I could put in any of the little square holes and pegs that Mother Earth is right now, that society has. What we as a human race have created, none of this stuff, none of it fit there. None of it made sense. So what this elder told me was, well, that's all stuff for the next world. Oh, God. Okay, I don't want to be in that world. There was no green, there was no trees. I don't like that. So I really believe now that what I was being shown was ascension. And I know that there's no way ascension can happen until we all do it together, because there's so much of the consciousness right now that's that low, dark, separate, duality. And in order to change consciousness, don't we have to get a lot of people on board? You know, don't we? Wouldn't it take a lot of us together to start visualizing and using this part of our brain that is now active to see a new world, to visualize something better? So this ceremony that was done hundreds of years ago was done when things were really out of balance. I believe that that can be brought back or something like that. It's just an idea I have. I wouldn't want to say that I am on to something here because again, I reach out, I want Kiiwenzii people. I want to sit in council with some Kiiwenzii people and ask them, what are you seeing? What are you feeling? What's happening?
There's a message from Dev saying, recognize, honor, invite two spirits. That in itself will open beautiful doors. Yes. And then Shauna also had a question or comment for you.
Yeah, I like who said that.
Dev, the person with the earth on her face and the hands in prayer.
Oh, man, touch you. Yeah, where you go? Where is she? I love her so much. That's so simple and perfect. Yes, there you are. Deb, thank you.
I think she's near a sleeping baby right now, so she can't talk.
It's okay. I just sent her some fingertip. We have a teaching. We have a teaching that the Kiiwenzii people can do probably way better than me about our fingertips and the power and the healing energies of each of all of our hands and all the different parts in our hands. So I just had to send her that little. That was my little love. Thank you.
Hi, thanks so much. I believe in the power of words. So, like, if we want, for instance, Devil's Tower to be changed to their new name, or like call it Matotipila or whatever, and start using that name, I believe that has power. Like you were saying, using the name Kiiwenzii or Two Spirits and having that ripple out. Yet I hesitate in that because those are indigenous words. And as a non-indigenous person, I don't know if it's time for me to go around saying those words, but if we as non-indigenous people were given permission to just start using those words, is that something you'd be okay with? And I hope you stay on later than usual and share more of your downloads. Thank you.
Thank you, Shauna. You know, it's funny you should bring this up because we were talking about this in a different circle that I sit in about native words versus English words. And one of the things I want to share with you all about the English language is that all indigenous languages speak in terms of a circle. When you speak any indigenous language, you are brought into talking with it as if you're all in the same circle. You see, it's all related. So when I say a word in my language, I am speaking to it as if, no, as I am in relation to it, as being a part of it, so that everything we speak about, we are speaking about it as it's all related. It's all omi ipakita. It's all one. It's all interconnected. It's all part of the matrix. The English language is to separate you from that which you are talking about. So if you learn an indigenous language and then you speak English, you realize when you're speaking that you're speaking from here about that over there. You're not speaking about in relation. Okay, there's my drum. The drum is over there. In our native tongue, the drum is our heart. So when we speak about the drum, it's not separate. It's simply a representation of my heartbeat. And it is something that a whole bunch of people with hearts can sit in a circle as one heart. And the drum is a symbol that says we are all of one heart. The English language is destructive. It is designed to keep us separate. So how can we refine the English language to be able to find a word that would not separate us from our Kiiwenzii people. That's a big study. And if we cannot, which none of us have been able to, we are all indigenous because we're all human race. So I say, I want to share my word that comes from my people because my elder gave me permission to do that, because in my tribal way, we are supposed to be sharing this. We're not supposed to keep this. It's not like corner on the market. We're all related. So you have my permission and you have my elder's permission to use the word Kiiwenzii anytime you want, and say, this comes from a grandma I know who is from the Haudenosaunee tribe. Her elders gave her permission to pass this teaching to save our race. And you know what? If they're a good elder or they're a good person or any indigenous or non-indigenous person, they'll recognize immediately, oh, unity. Yeah. Oh, it's not about judgment. It's not about wrong or right. It's about, oh my God, we got to save ourselves. So yeah, use the word Kiiwenzii. You have, please. And any other indigenous people you can find that with that word for that, let's use it. Get their permission and let's use it. Thank you, Sean. Shauna? Shauna? Shauna.
Yes, thank you. I have a niece who has just come out in her family, and so I'm really happy to tell her about that word. Thank you so much.
ShiiTuii, I don't know where you're going here in this flow.
I'm going wherever spirit leads me. So I don't really, I only had a few little notes because I knew I couldn't forget that part.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll take questions. I'll shut up.
There's a part of me that doesn't know how much I can say about this because it was a special situation that you and myself and my friend were part of. But when the day that you told us, that we're two-spirit and that we could, or Kiiwenzii, sorry, I know you don't use the word two-spirit, and that we could do certain cleanups of certain ceremonies and certain energies. I didn't know what that meant. It felt important, but I'm curious. And
are we gonna go there?
ShiiTuii, hi, it's Beth. I'm here too.
This is the other person. I was trying not to out this person, but they're outing themselves now. So
I just want to say I love you and thank you. I've been crying the whole time. I've always been curious about that moment too. Anything you want to say or not say.
I love you both. I love you both so much. Oh my gosh. You guys are an answer to prayer. So yes, there were specific rites of passages and rituals that only Kiiwenzii people could do. For obvious reasons, from my perspective, it wouldn't work. And from my husband's perspective, it wouldn't work. So there were very tasks or things that would come into our sphere or living space, family, homes, tribal bands, whatever. There were things that would come in that needed specific rites of passages or rituals done to bring them back into balance. And the Kiiwenzii people would do that. And the way they would come to the place that it was time for that ritual or that ceremony was that they would recognize something that was going on in the family or in the tribe. And they would know at that point that in order to correct it, they would have to perform a ritual that would draw attention in a non-shaming, non-judgmental way. And Kiiwenzii people's ceremonies, like you hear about the sun dance or the rattlesnake dance or all these dances, these are powerful ceremonies that require sacrifice. And they require sacrifice in the Sundance way, because the men need to sacrifice like the women. We're childbearing. So the reason I'm giving you a little bit of history is so you can understand why a Kiiwenzii ceremony or ritual would not be like a Sundance or a snake dance or a bear dance even. Because they were done in all love. There could be no shame. There could be no sacrifice. There could be no suffrage. Lots of ceremonies are about suffering and giving and receiving, and they're made for cleansing. Or Kiiwenzii people, it was said that their ceremonies did not need to be cleansing ceremonies. They needed to be ceremonies that brought balance and love. So they were ceremonies that never depleted us, but filled us up. I know many times I come back from a bear dance and I feel depleted. I'm exhausted. And a lot of it has to do with that I have no Kiiwenzii people to bring the balance and the love. That when something goes on at a bear dance that just sucks you of everything you have, you get home and you're depleted and you're exhausted. And how is it that I find myself this year being grateful for a virus that keeps me at home? Because I'm exhausted. I'm depleted. I don't want to do this anymore because I have nothing's filling me up. Kiiwenzii people would bring the rite of passage in when something needed to be cleaned up. The Kiiwenzii people really weren't cleaning anything up. So it's really awesome that you are bringing that back, because we didn't get an opportunity to bring in a teaching because we were cleaning up. And we knew, Kenny and I knew, that just your mere presence was going to take care of something. With that said, the presence of a fully balanced Kiiwenzii person, all they need to do is walk in and things start to adjust. You start to level out. So we say, bring the Kiiwenzii person over here with the wing and the feather and the sage. And really, it's not the feather and the sage and the wing that are cleaning anything up. It's that it's dispersing and cleaning itself up, because this balance is coming in that does not allow unclean things. It does not allow lack or dirty or judgment. It's coming in and it's basically diffusing what was going on that land. It was diffusing it. It was bringing love in, and it was trumping all that stuff that was going on that land. So the ceremonies are, we don't have anybody right now doing those ceremonies. We have nobody in that place. And that's sad.
Yeah, and I'm curious how that would translate in our time now, you know?
Wow. Well, I had this dream that all these people protesting and throwing things around and starting fires. I had this thought: what if all these Kiiwenzii people march down in the middle of all of that, just in silence, carrying their staffs, wearing their clothes, and totally in balance with who they are and what their calling is, come in and start walking down the center of all that chaos, knowing that they are love? What would happen? I think about that. It gives me a lot of hope. Yeah. There's a lot to talk about with that. There's a lot to counsel with about that, is how to bring a circle of healed Kiiwenziis who are in balance with who they are and what they bring, and are accepted for that and trained up for that, and a full understanding of what that ritual is that they're walking with. and then carrying that, and then taking it out and sharing that. Oh gosh. Yeah.
As you're saying that, I'm feeling just history that I've seen of like monks and nuns actually. I'm like, wow, is this Kiiwenzii in disguise over here? It's a different name for it.
Hey.
Just being the loving presence.
Exactly. And if you think about a monk, what is their vow?
I think there's many, but loving kindness, do no harm.
Yeah. And they take a vow of poverty, because with poverty, there are no distractions to all the things that come into play. You know, if you think about our society and how it is based in money and capitalism, and you watch how we are told that we need this product, that women, they need this product, and the men, they need the super T for their testosterone so they can have these muscles and look this certain way to be a good man. And if you think about all of the ways that that works, none of it is targeted towards Kiiwenzii people. Think about that. Think about the power in that right there. Is there any commercials on TV or any products sold that target that community? So again, there's no distraction, and obviously a monk isn't going to be the target for that type of commercialism because of the vow they take. So Kiiwenzii people are born with that vow of love and balance. They're born with that. However, they don't remember that because it's been taken away from them. Their power has been taken away from them by our society. Because long ago, someone must have recognized, I know our tribal people recognize. So as we move through the centuries and we grow and the European Western mindset comes in, at some point that Western mindset must have recognized the power of the Kiiwenzii person in the tribal setting. And immediately the Christian missionaries knew that that needed to be stopped and that they needed to be labeled sick. Right? Those are sick people. They need to be cleansed. There's something wrong with them. Even the Bible doesn't recognize Kiiwenzii people. And I've not read a lot of the Bible. I don't know. I got to be careful with that. So I'm going to stop right there. I don't want to offend anybody who reads the Bible. There's a lot of beautiful stories in the Bible, and I look at it as a storybook with some really beautiful stories and some really painful stories. So with that said, it just brings me back to the fact that there must have been something going on that we needed to silence our Kiiwenzii people, and there must have been something going on that we needed to silence our indigenous people and bring in this Christianity and this secrecy and all of this stuff that does not allow us to know the power of our own brain and the power of our own intention.
Thanks. We have like 6 minutes left on the call.
I want to
May I
ask
speak?
you, go ahead.
How do we repurpose or reinvent your tribe? You call it we'll say the name again.
Kiiwenzii?
Kiiwenzii.
Mhm.
And in Lakota they say Winkte. But it has such a negative connotation amongst the Lakota, who I'm around a lot when I'm out dancing. and it's yeah, there's a lot of derision
Can you explain that? I've never been aware of that.
amongst the men. You know, oh, he's, you know, they laugh and say, oh, that guy's a winkte. Oh, you know, watch out for him. It's just this pervasive social conditioning within the reservation. I think that and the Christian churches that instilled that
That's it.
it's really hard to come out in that community. You'll get beat up. So that's I just an observation over 12 years.
That's sad to hear. We find that true of a lot of our tribal cultures, that they've been indoctrinated by Christianity, and they've adopted it as if it were their own tribal teaching. And thank God there are a few elders out there still that say, hey, wait a minute, do you really know where that teaching came from? Because if you go back, there's no indigenous tribe pre-contact that would have shunned any tribal member unless they hurt a child. I'm sad to hear that. So how do you feel about arming yourself with these old teachings that have not been indoctrinated by Christianity and bringing it back to the Lakota people?
Yeah, that's what I was. That was the path I was looking at. How do we reinvent, to couch it in a new story, to make it something that, oh, they're proud of the heritage and want to embrace the gift that they have been excluding, because it's a piece of the wheel that when embraced. So I'm just looking at new ways. I check with the mother, and she realizes that it's a problem. And I won't come out there until I get a clear yes, it's okay. Just because it would get in the way of my work when I'm there. So
exactly.
I came in Two-Spirit. I'm a triple Jedi. I came in backwards too.
That's so cool. You came in with your feet hitting the ground.
Okay.
Yes. Now we need to get you do you have a name? Did they name you?
When the grandmas were at the Wild Horse Sanctuary in Hot Springs, the mother gave me the name Two Bears.
You're Two Bears.
I'm Two Bears.
Really? Can I write? I'm going somewhere with this.
And I was like all ready to give it up and take a new name at a Luwampi ceremony. Does anybody else want a name? And I started to speak up, and my spirit said, hey, we already gave you a name. So I was like, I didn't know you gave it to me. I thought I just made it up.
I love that name. And I won't go into now why I love that name, but we'll talk later. That's very good. Wow. Maybe Three Bears. Anyway, so I am available. I'm making my this wheel available to anyone who wants to pick up a staff and carry that teaching in a way that it can, so that you can bring that staff in proudly and understand fully what it means to be Kiiwenzii. Because I'm just touching the surface here tonight. I'm just giving you a tribal mindset of how this looked prior to the missionaries coming over and making it sick, because the power, they saw the power and that they wouldn't lose control over our tribal people. So with that said, I want to empower our Kiiwenzii people to understand fully what it means to be Kiiwenzii. And then the rest, those of us who are not Kiiwenzii, I want to empower the rest of us how to speak in balance about our Kiiwenzii people and not separate ourselves and as if we're different somehow. I want to empower all of us as well how to open and embrace this Kiiwenzii spirit that we so desperately need right now in all this chaos. And I will fight for this. I really believe it. And I know there's something going on with our star friends that they keep saying, this is important, this is important. You must get a grip on this. You have to accept this in your own spirit. So I was told a long time ago by my elders, if you can't get your head around something, teach it. You'll learn it.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, well, great. My elders gave me this incredible teaching. I spent 12 years with this one elder. And I was telling Darlene the other day, boy, it's pretty selfish of me just to sit home here in my little comfort bubble and hair. You should see this drawer down here. Hey, in Chatwa knows a little bit about this. I'm going to show you guys. I'm not kidding around here. This drawer, I can't even open this drawer. This is 12 years of tribal teachings. This is like, okay, this is not okay. This is not okay to have all of these teachings sitting in a desk drawer while I sit out there on my couch with my remote waiting for the next episode of Dexter. So yeah, it's not okay anymore. It's just not okay. And gosh, can you imagine going to your grave knowing and laying there, taking your last breath, realizing, oh my God, I disrespected my elders. I disrespected all those teachers that I had by not sharing because I felt uncomfortable being around people. I like my little house, my little job, and my little bakery. And people, I'm not always comfortable around a bunch of people. So I need your support. I need everybody's support that sees what I'm seeing right now. And this is a group effort. This isn't me. This is me asking for help.
Great, Tuii, we're wrapping up our time, and I'm curious how people can get a hold of you for this.
So, if you give my email.
Okay.
Because, my phone is just, it's too crazy, that phone. I don't like phones. So email is good because then at night when I'm unwinding, I go and I sit down and I open up my emails and I read, and then I go, oh, look at that. And then I can pray and I can go, wow, there's so many helpers out there. Let's do this. Come on, man, let's do this. Let's start our own protest. Oh, yeah. Man, protest on behalf of our planet. So I don't know if you have that or if Margine has that or whatever. My email is kind of long. I'll spell it out. It's ShiiTuii, 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 Chadbourne, ChadBourne @gmail. So,
okay,
yeah,
put it in the chat. Okay.
You guys are wrong.
I can attest she's better at answering email than phone. It's true.
Right. You can do emails on your own time, and the phone rings. And if I'm in a moment, it's probably not a good idea for me to talk to anybody.
Right.
Oh gosh.
Well, thanks so much, ShiiTuii. It sounds like we got to create like another part 2, part 3.
Well, we have to. It's our responsibility.
Yeah.
It's our responsibility. And Erin and Beth oh my gosh, we started something. Both of you, I know I could see it, and I've always watched the two of you always working, always doing things, and you're not lazy. I appreciate that. You know, a lot of young people are lazy. So thank you, and I look forward to talking to all our Kiiwenzii people and non-Kiiwenzii people.
And allies and all of it.
And
all
allies, yes,
the whole circle.
exactly. Hey, it's not going to be easy, right? Well, it will be easy for Kiiwenzii people. It's not going to be easy for us.
Deep breath.
Gosh, ay, ay, ay. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you all. Thanks for being here.
My heart is so full, ShiiTuii. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
My heart's full too. I look forward to seeing you all again, and I am definitely open to part 2, in which I would pull out a very specific teaching on Kiiwenzii identity.
Awesome.
For lack of a better, we would say the Puya Renda, the spirit of the Kiiwenzii. Yeah. Okay.
Can't wait.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Everybody have a wonderful evening. Spread love.
Yeah.
Okay.